Hey, we're live now.
Okay. All right, I'm back.
See.
Johnson, you're sideways for me now. I don't know. There we go.
Wait.
There we go. All right. Hey, we made it. Does that mean we're live? Let me check.
Check and see.
YouTube's. Hey, there we are. We are all right. The kids are all right, as they say.
There we are. Okay.
Sweet. Okay. Well, welcome. Hopefully, when I went on YouTube, I was on YouTube or Facebook Live for literally like 10 seconds, and I had 5 people sign in. So people are there; they're waiting. I saw Alan Mooney and Craig Hench and Luann Wayne. So, and I think there was somebody else too. I can't quite remember, but yeah. But it did give me the option. I saw you watching, Johnson, and it said bring him on camera. So we should try that sometime just to see like how that works. Because that's something we could easily do if we needed to do, you know, in a pinch.
Facebook trying to get into the Zoom game, it looks like, or something.
Yeah, maybe. So I don't see anyone watching on YouTube yet. How about Facebook? Are you on Facebook?
Yeah. Yep. We got a few people on Facebook here.
Okay. Well, we're late, so let's get started.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, everybody, welcome. Thanks. Sorry about that. A big shout out to Dennis McGavick, who was helping us out with some technical issues.
He's the man. Seriously, Dennis does so much. I don't think people know how much he does around in the church and the whole network.
He said the other day, somebody said, what do you do here? And he goes, I do everything but the preaching and teaching. Also,
pretty much.
He forgot he does not do the singing.
Pretty true.
He does not do the singing.
Not true. I sing.
You do sing?
Hey, there he is.
Yeah. There's the voice of Oz right there.
Yeah.
Really good to see you. Thank you, everybody, for holding on with us as we get started tonight. We are walking through the Psalms. And we have walked through 36 of them so far.
36. Out of how many is there? 151?
No, I think it's just 150, I think. 100. Yeah, I believe it's 150.
So we should finish up about the same time next year.
Yes. 100, right. 150 is like a 6 verse psalm. So we're doing really well here. We're on Psalm 37. And maybe we start talking about that. What do you want to read it first, or do you
how about I'll give the little, not the whole thing, but the quick little summary of the intro, the first couple lines anyway. So this is what Martin Luther says about Psalm 37. It says, the 37th Psalm is a psalm of comfort that teaches and exhorts us to have patience in the world and warns us especially against envy. And I love this line because it uses a word that, in my opinion, we don't use enough. We ought to bring it back. He says, for it is vexing and painful to the weak in faith when things go so well for the godless, and the opposite happens to those who fear God. So yes, vexing. We should bring that back, right?
Vexing.
Quite vexing. Maybe. But I think that that's a very true and common thing that people feel, right? When they see things go well for the godless, and the opposite happens to those who fear God, right? Or you can twist that up to like the righteous and sinners, or the good and the bad, like good people, we see them struggling, and then we see the bad, prosper, kind of thing,
Yeah. We were talking about that at our men's Bible study this morning, that, it's real easy to think that maybe worldly things are like some kind of sign that you've been blessed by God, but it's not exactly the case, right? Like, yeah, and that is just an interesting point.
I mean, you can be, but there's plenty of people that have a ton of worldly stuff that are not godly at all, that don't believe that whatever, maybe they're good people, maybe they're terrible people, but they're not believers, and yet they have tremendous worldly success.
I thought you started to say I thought you were gonna, my Uncle Rick, No,
yeah, that's right.
That guy, he is
big, for example.
Yeah.
Man, he's horrible.
Wow,
he's just such a bad guy.
I don't know. That's where my head was going.
Right. Yeah. No, I was not going to call out anyone by name, particularly
any relatives. Family. Right. No, that's how you stay in this game for so long, right?
Right. That is correct.
All right.
All right. So it's split into two parts. The first part, 22 verses. Do 11 and 11.
Yeah. So, yep. That sounds good. Why don't I start? Okay.
All right.
Fret. And if you're just joining, Psalm 37, verse 1, fret not yourself because of evildoers. Be not envious of wrongdoers, for they will soon fade like the grass and wither like the green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and befriend faithfulness. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust in him, and he will act. He will bring forth your righteousness as the light, and your justice as the noonday. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not yourself. There's that word again. Fret not yourself over the one who prospers in his way, over the man who carries out evil devices. Refrain from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not yourself. It tends only to evil. For the evildoer shall be cut off, but those who wait for the Lord shall inherit the land. In just a little while, the wicked will be no more. Though you look carefully at his place, he will not be there. But the meek shall inherit the land and delight themselves in an abundant peace.
The wicked plots against the righteous and gnashes his teeth at him. But the Lord laughs at the wicked, for he sees that his day is coming. The wicked draw the sword and bend their bows to bring down the poor and needy, to slay those whose way is upright. Their sword shall enter their own heart, and their bows shall be broken. Better is the little that the righteous has than the abundance of many wicked. For the arms of the wicked shall be broken, but the Lord upholds the righteous. The Lord knows the day of the blameless, and their heritage will remain forever. They are not put to shame in evil times. In the days of famine, they have abundance. But the wicked will perish. The enemies of the Lord are like the glory of the pastures. They vanish. Like smoke, they vanish away. The wicked borrows, but does not pay back. But the righteous is generous and gives. For those blessed by the Lord shall inherit the land, but those cursed by him shall be cut off.
Okay. Hey, so I want to start off real quick on this. It's interesting. A lot of times when a psalm or when a verse in scripture kind of repeats itself, like I want to know why it repeats itself. So the one word, the phrase that kind of was interesting to me in this was fret not yourself. Fret not yourself. And that was interesting to me. And so I went back and looked at the original Hebrew, and the word, really, the phrase that I kept coming back to was don't get heated. Don't get heated. And so if you kind of replace that phrase, check this out. Don't get heated because of the evildoers, but be not envious of wrongdoers. And then the next time they use it, don't get heated over the one who prospers in his way, over the man who carries out evil devices. And there's another time it used it too, but that fret not yourself, I like that. I think and that's what happens in translations, especially with old words.
Well, even fret is a word we don't use a lot anymore. It's like vexing.
Don't get heated. And so that's an interesting take. So if we took the first 4 verses of this, don't get heated because of evildoers. Don't be envious of what wrongdoers do. Verse 2, for soon they're just going to fade away like grass. So why even waste the energy getting heated about it? Just trust in the Lord and do good. That's interesting because it's like the psalmist here isn't saying, don't get heated, just move on. Like the psalmist is saying, if you get irritated with wrongdoers, go serve, go do something. Go do good. Go do good. Because we know that can happen with us, right? We can get real tied up if we see injustices. And that doesn't mean to not do something with the injustice, but it means go do something good. Go counteract.
Yeah, go do something positive.
Right. Exactly. Go do something positive. And furthermore, trust in the Lord. Dwell in the land. Befriend faithfulness. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he's going to give you the desire of your heart. It's don't get knocked off when you see evil stuff happen. Don't get hyper focused when you see evil stuff happen. Don't get heated, because that's the natural human reaction. And I think the first 4 verses in this psalm speaks to all of us, because we can all relate to a time when that's happened. And I just think that's really powerful. The first 4.
Yeah, that kind of jumped out at me as well. Although the way I was thinking of it, and it was kind of what jumped into my head was mind your business, concern yourself with you, right?
Yeah.
Don't waste your time worrying about these other people and what they're doing. God has that. God sees it. God's going to take care of that. You worry about you, you make sure you're doing what's right. You make sure you're being faithful. Don't the world's going to be full of evil people that prosper. It's not your job to fix all that, right? God is going to take care of that. Don't waste your time worrying and fretting and getting heated over that stuff. Concern yourself with what you sort of can control. I say sort of because we understand how sin works and how God's grace works, but what you have some measure of control over, which is yourself. Make sure you're doing positive things in the world. Don't waste your time getting angry about stuff that you can't fix anyway. And you don't need to, because you can trust God is going to fix it.
I think the other thing too, in verses 3 through 7, if we look at this psalm, you can't just simply switch off. You know, you can't just simply switch off if you've been wronged or if you have an obsession with enemies, that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
what verses 3-7 is saying is refocus yourself. Like look up, trust in the Lord, delight yourself in the Lord, commit your way to the Lord. He will bring forth your righteousness. Be still. Like, look at all these things that the psalmist is giving us. He's saying, be still in the Lord, look up to the Lord, redirect your focus. I think that's important when we're struggling with something like that as well.
Yeah. One other thing I noticed that really jumped out at me was verse 11. And I think the reason is pretty obvious, right? But the meek shall inherit the land and delight themselves in abundant peace.
Yeah.
And what is that? Where have we heard that before? Right? The Sermon on the Mount, right? The meek shall inherit the earth.
Yep.
And it's funny to me that more and more I begin to see, kind of as I read more and more of the Old Testament, particularly things like the Psalms and particularly even like Proverbs, a lot of the stuff that Jesus said that seemed really revolutionary was only revolutionary in the sense that people had forgotten it or missed it the first time, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff was actually already in the Old Testament. It wasn't really new in that sense. And Jesus was just refocusing people on it. Like, it was almost like he was saying, like, look, you've looked at everything God said to you in the Old Testament, and you've chosen to make this thing and this thing and this thing the most important. But you missed all this other stuff, you know? And so it seemed like super revolutionary, but really he was just like saying stuff that God had already said and that people just didn't pay attention to.
Yeah, exactly. And that's an interesting line that you picked out. The meek shall inherit the land. And, you know, what essentially does that mean? Like, not just the land, but the meek will inherit the earth, and not because of their own power, but because of, you know, God working through them. I don't know, this is kind of going on a tangent, and we didn't talk about this prior or anything, but I think about like the Israelites, right? Like
the mute button ready. I'm going to mute you.
Well, like the Israelites weren't exactly world-class warriors at the time when Egypt, you know, took them into slavery and things like that. If you wanted to say,
they were like shepherds and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
And they've certainly gone through troubled times, but we also know them as God's people, like our people. Those are, it's amazing. Pastor Hoyer has said this in a Bible study. If you look around Israel, there's a lot of people around Israel that want Israel eliminated.
Right.
You know, there's not a lot of friends over there in the Middle East for Israel, but yet that meek little country still exists today after all the wars and attempts. It's just interesting.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, let's should we go on to part 2?
Sure.
Part 2,
25.
Holy good Lord Almighty. It's up to verse 40, but then that's starting in verse 23. So that's like 17. Like 18?
Yeah. Huh? So it's 17. So 8 and 9.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So I'll stop at 31 after I read 31, and I'll hand it over to you. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. The steps of a man are established by the Lord when he delights in his way. Though he fall, he shall not cast headlong, for the Lord upholds his hand. I have been young, and now I'm old, yet I have not seen the righteousness forsaken, or his children begging for bread. He is ever lending generously, and his children become a blessing. Turn away from evil and do good, so shall you dwell forever. For the Lord loves justice, and he will forsake his saints. They are preserved forever, but the children of the wicked shall be cut off. The righteous shall inherit the land. There we go again, and dwell upon it forever. The mouth of the righteous utters wisdom, and his tongue speaks justice. The law of his God is in his heart. His steps do not slip.
The wicked watches for the righteous and seeks to put him to death. The Lord will not abandon him to his power or let him be condemned when he is brought to trial. Wait for the Lord and keep his way, and he will exalt you to inherit the land. You will look on when the wicked are cut off. I have seen a wicked, ruthless man spreading himself like a green laurel tree, but he passed away, and behold, he was no more. Though I sought him, he could not be found. Mark the blameless and behold the upright, for there is a future for the man of peace. But transgressors shall be altogether destroyed. The future of the wicked shall be cut off. The salvation of the righteous is from the Lord. He is their stronghold in the time of trouble. The Lord helps them and delivers them. He delivers them from the wicked and saves them because they take refuge in him.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting part here in line 27. If you're just joining us, we're on Psalm 37, and we're going through the second half of this. Turn away from evil and do good, so you shall dwell forever. One of the notes that I was reading on that was, let me just pull it up here, is a conflict with evil too often tempts a Christian to fight the enemy with his own weapons. In the second, both the Lord and the structure of life are on the side of justice. So a lot of times when we engage in evil, we fight evil the same way that evil is coming toward us. I just thought that was an interesting point in the sense that, like, don't repay evil with evil. Like, a lot of times if somebody attacks us or something goes on, like, we want to attack back. And I think that's part of what that is. Turn away from evil, do good, resist the urge to fight evil the same way evil's fighting you.
Right. Yeah. Well, and like in that first section, it said, don't be envious of the wicked. Yeah. And like, sometimes we do, like, it's like, well, why can't I do all that? Well, that stuff's not good. Why would you want to do all that? You know what I mean? Like, and so, yeah, that's the temptation. And no, you need to resist that and do what's good. One thing that jumped out to me is, that really, again, so there's a lot of salvation kind of language here, right? And judgment against the wicked and salvation of the righteous, right? And then there's, again, you mentioned another reference to dwelling in the land forever. And, stuff about like his children become a blessing, right? The Lord loves justice. His saints are preserved forever, but the children of the wicked shall be cut off, and that a lot of this stuff, we have to realize that the ultimate real fulfillment of this is in the eternal life that we have that comes through Jesus Christ. It's not necessarily an earthly fulfillment. I mean, look at how many Christian martyrs there are. Yeah, sometimes Christian people die. Sometimes the wicked, in the sense of the world's eyes, win. That doesn't invalidate this, because the ultimate fulfillment of what this psalm is saying is our eternal salvation. It's not promising us victory in this life, but it's promising us the ultimate victory, right? That we will live, that we will be preserved forever, right? Verse 28, right? His saints are preserved forever. That is clearly a reference to eternal life. Like kind of all that stuff, right? The Lord will not abandon him to his power or let him be condemned when he is brought to trial. That's referring to the righteous, Well, obviously in the world, actually, that sometimes happens. Again, Christians are sometimes brought to trial. They're sometimes murdered. People have died for their faith. But the fulfillment of that is in the salvation that we have through Jesus Christ. That's something that could never be taken away from you by anything on this earth.
Yeah. No, right. The Lord helps them and delivers them. He delivers them from the wicked and saves them because they take refuge in him. Again, telling us where our power comes from. It's not from us turning away from evil, but it's actually coming from him. strong ending on this whole psalm.
Well,
itself.
and I liked verse 39 that says just that the salvation of the righteous is from the Lord, right? So our salvation doesn't come from ourselves. It's from the Lord, you know? And I almost feel like the righteous here really is more analogous to the faithful, you know? That's who's righteous, the faithful. The righteous, that doesn't mean that there are people that have never actually sinned. It just means that they haven't turned away from God. They're continuing to place their faith and trust in him. And that's why they're considered righteous. You know, again, like Abraham believed and it was counted to him as righteousness. And so it's not a legalistic thing, like, oh, you need to be righteous in a legalistic way in order to earn your salvation. No, it means you need to be faithful, continue to place your faith and trust in God. And then it's the power of the Lord that will save you, right? Salvation is found in him.
Yeah. Yeah. So we got time for 38 here.
Well, actually, I don't know. What time is it? Oh, 6:06? Yeah, we do.
This one's not that long. It's only 22 verses.
Yeah, we can do this one.
Yeah, okay. So let's do it. This 38th Psalm is...
Although it's a little bit of a bummer psalm, though. But
yeah. Agreed. Well, it is a psalm of prayer, and it's certainly a prayer of lamenting.
One's own sin.
Yeah, exactly. So...
anyway. So this psalm is basically describing what it feels like when you know you have royally messed up your life.
Yeah.
And there's really nothing you can do about it. And what that feels like. Right. And I think we've all been there at one time or another.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically when you feel outcast, when you feel the overwhelming burden.
When you feel guilt and shame.
Correct. This is the psalm for you. All right.
Right.
So, all right. You want to do the first 11 and then I'll follow? Yeah.
So, starting at verse 1. O Lord, rebuke me not in your anger, nor discipline me in your wrath. For your arrows have sunk into me, and your hand has come down on me. There is no soundness in my flesh because of your indignation. There is no health in my bones because of my sin. For my iniquities have gone over my head like a heavy burden. They are too heavy for me. My wounds stink and fester because of my foolishness. I am utterly bowed down and prostrate. All the day I go about mourning. For my sides are filled with burning, and there is no soundness in my flesh. I am feeble and crushed. I groan because of the tumult of my heart. O Lord, all my longing is before you. My sighing is not hidden from you. My heart throbs, my strength fails me, and the light of my eyes, it also has gone from me. My friends and companions stand aloof from my plague, and my nearest kin stand far off.
Those who seek my life lay their snares. Those who seek my hurt speak of ruin and meditate treachery all day long. But I am like the deaf man. I do not hear, like a mute man who does not open his mouth. I have become like a man who does not hear, and in whose mouth are no rebukes. But for you, O Lord, do I wait. It is you, O God, who will answer. For I say, only let them not rejoice over me, who boast against me when my foot slips. For I am ready to fall, and my pain is ever before me. I confess my iniquities. I'm sorry for sin. But my foes are vigorous, and they are mighty, and many are those who hate me wrongfully. Those who render me evil for good, accuse me because I follow after good. Do not forsake me, O Lord. O my God, be not far from me. Make haste to help me, O Lord, my salvation. All right. One thing in the beginning, it's kind of interesting. I'm just going to go after verse 1 right here. O Lord, rebuke me not in your anger, nor discipline me in your wrath. No, the psalmist here is not saying, hey, let's make a deal. Okay. I don't want a punishment. No, I think what's happening.
No, it's more out of terror. Like, oh my God.
100%. 100%.
Please don't kill me.
It's not,
You know?
it's not exactly. It's
Yeah.
not like a plea to be exempt. It's like a plea to please be merciful on me,
Right.
Lord. Like
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like he's saying, like, because it says, don't rebuke me not in your anger. Like you could read that and say, he really doesn't want any punishment. No, it's not even that. Just show me grace. Like, and maybe that's the way we should lead our prayers when we mess up.
Yeah.
Hey, Lord,
Yeah.
don't rebuke me in your anger. Please show me
Yeah.
some grace.
Well, and I love all the kind of analogies he uses for what it feels like to be in this position. Like, well, so first of all, this is verse 2. He says, "For your arrows have sunk into me." Now, first of all, I don't really know what that feels like, but I really get the feeling that, I'm assuming this is written by David.
Yeah.
He knows what that feels like. He's probably taken an arrow to the knee. You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
knows what that feels like. And he's
Yeah.
saying, like, this is what that feels like.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
it ain't great. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. There's no soundness in my flesh, right? There's no health in my bones. So, like, I feel sick. Like, you know, there's a heavy burden. My wounds stink and fester. I'm utterly bowed down and prostrate, you know? Yeah. Like, I think there's times in our life when, man, we might use different analogies to kind of describe the feeling, but where we have felt like that, you know?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I mean, so I'll tell you, like, for me, the second semester of my freshman year in college, I flunked out of college. I failed each one of my classes. My grade point average for that semester was 0.00. And I remember
That sounds like something from Animal House.
They invited me not to come back.
Wow.
And I remember when I opened that report card and that letter, I mean, it was like a punch to the gut.
So
you know what I
didn't see
mean?
that coming, huh?
Did you? Well, I kind of did, but I just didn't think it would. I just didn't think it would be that bad, you know? And yeah, like that. I mean, and it was all my fault.
Yeah.
I basically cut too many classes. And so even the classes where I thought I was doing okay because I passed a test or whatever, didn't matter. I missed too many classes. They were going to automatically fail me, you know? Yeah. And it was all my fault. It was all just stupid immaturity, you know? And I mean, obviously I recovered. I have a master's degree now, but you know, like, but man, in that moment, that's how I felt, you know?
Yeah, sure.
You know?
Yeah. That must have been a fun Christmas after the first.
Oh, geez, Louise. It was terrible.
How'd school go? Real good, real good, real good. I got asked not to come back.
Right.
No, it's funny that you say that.
And I'll tell you what, it's hard to have any credibility after that.
Really,
you lose a lot of credibility. Like any decision you make after that does not seem like a smart decision.
Right. Yeah. Well, I had Pell Grant and all these other things. And then, you know, I went to the first semester and I came back with a 2.0. I got all C's and everything. So a little bit better than you. But I got the letter too that said, if you don't pick this up, you're gone. I mean, that, so yeah, we both get a little bit of a wake up call and it tended to worked out okay. Right. Yep. So I think the key to this is like, so this person's struggling with a lot of stuff. And then in verse 18, I confess my iniquities and I'm sorry for my sin. You know, like, especially David, and we've said this before multiple times. God said that David is a man after his own heart. Like he loved David, but David, my goodness, David screwed up.
Yeah. And exactly. It wasn't that he didn't screw up. It was just that when he did, he owned it.
Yeah. But he screwed up. I mean, like Bathsheba, you're right. Like, bad things. And it's also nice that my dietitian, Val Schultz, had a 1.7 after 2 quarters.
Yeah.
God bless you, Val.
I'm still in the lead with 0.
0.0. Well, Val obviously turned it around. She's teaching now. Right. So look at her.
Yeah.
Look at her.
A smart lady, too.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Yeah, but so he says, I confess my iniquities. I'm sorry for my sin. And then 21, don't forsake me. Be not far from me.
Yeah.
Those are two key endings to Psalm 38 right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, so as my usual thing, I looked at the prayers at the end of each one of these psalms or psalm sections that we did, and picked one that I liked, and I really like this one from the end of that two-parter we did, Psalm 37. And this is actually in the form of hymn lyrics, but I thought they were really good. So let's pray this together. Oh, may this bounteous God through all our life be near us, with ever joyful hearts and blessed peace to cheer us, and keep us in his grace, and guide us when perplexed, and free us from all ills in this world and the next. Amen.
Amen. Also, next week is Thanksgiving week. So we're going to take next week off. We'll be back, I believe it's the 30th.
Right.
But we'll be off next week.
So no Bible class next week on Monday night, and obviously no unscripted next week on Thursday. Which
you don't want to go live from Thanksgiving?
Right.
Hey,
but we're still this Thursday.
Yes.
We're planning on it. So
yeah, we'll be back after a 1 week hiatus. All right.
Yep.
See y'all. God bless you.
All
Take
right.
care, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.